Okay, quick video just to explain how we at Jacked do yearly planning, which translates then into quarterly, monthly, and weekly kind of tasks and objectives. So when I started the business, I didn't really do any of this. I just kind of kept going and going and going and didn't really implement the structure I'm about to share with you until a couple years ago. I wish I would have implemented it earlier, and that's why I'm sharing it with you, because maybe you can take bits and pieces of it and apply it to your business. So here's how we do it. At a super high level, before the start of the year, so right around November, December, and if it's, you're watching this, it's almost the new year, or it's the new year maybe when you're watching it, it's okay, you can still do the planning. I'm just telling you when we like to do it normally. So in November-ish, or first week of December, we get together and we look at the entire last year, what went well and what didn't go well, and we match that up against the objectives that we had set the year prior, and really do an analysis and deep dive into those. And then we go through and we envision how we would like to see the future. So there's actually a fun little visualization exercise that we go through where we close our eyes and visualize the next year. And when I say we, just really quickly, I'm talking about, for us, it's the executive team. So we're bigger now, and we don't include the full team on this. We have just the executive team, the people that are leading the company. For you, it might be you and your co-founder, or if you don't have a co-founder, it's you and one or two key people from the team. It's nice to have someone else there with you to do this, to bounce ideas off of, or it could be you and a coach. I've also done that before, right? So I'm also happy to facilitate. If you message me, I can actually walk you through some of these things. So anyways, we do this visualization exercise where we say, hey, where would we like the company to be, and what does it look like then? And then we use that to kind of set the tone of where we want to be. So then when we actually think about, well, if that's where we want to be, how do we get there, right? And that's the key part, is the how. And that's what you're going to be focusing on. So let's say, I don't know, whatever the objective is for the next year, right? And they could be anything. We try to stay away from some of the financial things, but it could be, hey, we want to hit X amount in revenue. But it's really, what does the company look like from a more high level? How does it feel? What are we doing? What are we working on? Who are we serving? Who are our customers? What kind of culture do we have? Or, whatever those things are that are top of mind, those are the kind of things you want to list out. There is no right or wrong answer. It's really all about where you want to see the company in a couple years, right? So, for example, one thing that we had is we listed out, and this was a year ago, we said we want it to be a very well-oiled machine. And what we meant by that was that the back end of the company was just humming along and could support everything that we were doing, as well as the actual production side of things was just humming, right? Because we, in the past, kind of had roadblocks here, production wasn't consistent, that sort of thing, and we wanted to fix that. So that's an example of something that we worked on. And so when you're thinking about, hey, here's where we want to be in a year, you then break it down and you think through the 3 to 5 objectives, or rather initiatives, that will help you get there. And that's all you want. You don't want more than 5. We actually limit it to 3. So there's like 3 big things that we're working on this coming year. So as an example of that, this coming year, one thing that is a priority for us is, we called it the sales and marketing flywheel, and getting that spinning. So right now our production side of things is pretty good, the back office is pretty good. Sales and marketing, obviously we've been able to build up the business to this level, but we really want to get that consistent and repeatable and predictable. And so that's what we're really focusing on this year. So that's one example. And once you lay out these 3 to 5 things, what we like to do is get very specific with them. So what does success actually look like? If I just say the marketing and sales flywheel, what does that actually mean? What does success actually look like? What are the KPIs that we're actually going to hit? And for those of you that don't know, KPI is a key performance indicator. Like, what do we actually have to achieve such that we succeeded in making the sales and marketing flywheel a thing? right? And so you do that for each of these initiatives that you have, these 3 to 5. And then with each of them, once you have those, you then start breaking it down by quarter, right? So it can be very overwhelming if you just have this massive objective that you want to hit over the course of the year. So what do? You break it down, right? And we start with quarters. So you look at Q4, Q3, Q2, and Q1, and you say, how are we going to get there, right? And so, whatever they may be, first we're going to really focus, in this case for the sales and marketing, just to give an example, hey, in Q1 we're going to focus on narrowing down our target customer and refining our niche. And number 2, we're going to make sure our marketing hires and sales hires are there, and whatever. I'm making this up right now. The point is you break it down by quarter, and it doesn't need to be super detailed then, right? Super high level there, right? And as you get into smaller time increments, it gets more detailed. So the year is this big objective. The quarter is a little bit more specific on how you're going to get there, and then you look into Q1. And Q1 is where you get a little bit more specific, and you say, here are the 10 things that we're going to do that will move us towards that objective. And then you go into the month. You look at January, and you get even more granular. And then you go into the week, and you get even more granular, right? So then, as you're breaking it down into smaller and smaller chunks, it'll add up, as you can see, right? You can never lose sight of the larger objective, but if you just break it down, then all of a sudden each week all you have to focus on is that week, right? It's very simple. So at the start of each quarter, right, let's say after this whole yearly planning is done, right, then you have a quarter meeting. So going into Q1, this is what we did. Literally, we had a Q1 planning meeting where we said, okay, cool, like here's what we're going to get done in the quarter that maps to that year-long plan. And then we had a monthly meeting, and in the monthly meeting we said, great, in January, what are we going to do such that it maps to the quarterly plan, right? And then once we had that, right, we had the monthly plan, then what we do is during the month, literally each week, we meet and we say, cool, what are we going to get done this week that maps to the monthly plan? And we make sure that we get everything done, right? We have a list of everything we need to get done in the month, and we break it up into 4 weeks. And then that week, all we care about is that stuff. And we have a meeting every single week to say, here's what we're going to get done, here's what we get done. And it's really important to keep these meetings because this is where you're starting to work on the business, right? And accountability is super important, and I make it a priority or else it won't get done, right? So then at the end of the month, what you do is you have a monthly meeting, and then at the end of the quarter, you have a quarterly meeting and planning, and you just keep doing this, and you see, you're kind of like beating the drum, right? Every week you're meeting, every month, every quarter, and then it will add up to accomplishing what you want in the year. So that's how we do our planning. It's really important to keep these meetings on the books. Sounds like a lot of meetings, but it's really not, because it's super, super important. This is how you really make that long-term progress towards where you want to be, instead of just turning your wheels every single day and kind of being like, where is this going, and you don't know. This is how you actually take where you want to be, and then you break it down into today, and so every single day, that you're working this year, you're working towards something. And so that's how I know this year going into 2019 with Jack, we're very clear on where we want to be at the end of the year and how we're going to get there, and we're just going to keep going. And so I'm very confident going in that we have a plan and we know what we're doing. So anyways, that's kind of the high level version of it. I didn't go into the super, super details on like the exercises run and all that. If you have questions, please reach out to me. I'm happy to give you anything and everything that I have, templates that we've used, all that sort of thing. Just let me know. So hope this was helpful, and yeah, that's it.